And here to take us through the story is former advisor to Prime Minister Netanyahu and co-host of the Israel Undiplomatic podcast, Ruthie Bloom. We want to thank you for being here. Appreciate your perspective. Before we even get there, Ruthie, negotiations over the remaining hostages have been ongoing for months without any recent progress, and then receiving this most recent hostages dead rather than alive obviously is very tough. So what is the mood right now in Israel regarding those negotiations? You know, do we think that the Israelis are more willing to cut a deal? How about Hamas?
Israel has been willing to cut a deal all along, as we saw when we cut the first deal at the end of November. Since then, Hamas has strengthened its position, and I hate to say, I think that's largely due to its view of the Biden administration's attitude toward Israel right now. Israel has even very recently agreed to an extremely generous deal, one that would endanger us incredibly and would not be good for our soldiers either, but Netanyahu agreed to it. Hamas then said, you know, played for time, said, we'll give you an answer in 2 days and 3 days, next week. And then they came back and said they had agreed to it. And in fact, they had agreed to a deal that was not on the table. And that deal wasn't a deal at all. First of all, it wasn't for a return of all the hostages. Second of all, it was a deal that said, end the war and leave us in power. We can't do that. And I don't understand why the Biden administration doesn't understand that.
You know, it's all hard to watch. And as we look at these images and we look at the movement going on right now, the IDF has begun its push into Gaza, hoping to clear out what they believe is one of Hamas's final strongholds. So as we take a look at this, you know, could we be near the end of this phase of the war? Hopefully, what will the next phase look like as we look ahead?
Look, I'm not a military expert, but I can tell you that we were told right from the beginning that this war would take a long time, because it's not just a question of destroying the last battalions in Rafah, the last Hamas battalions. I don't think you realize that every day, not only are we getting more rocket attacks from Gaza, but massive barrages of missiles and drones from the north, from Hezbollah. And these are all Iranian proxies. We're surrounded by Iranian proxies out to wipe us off the map. So even if this phase, so to speak, of Rafah, even if we get through that quickly, as long as the Biden administration doesn't keep tying our hands, then we'll have to take care of the north, because it's a huge threat. If you think Hamas is evil, Hezbollah is way worse, has longer range missiles, and would commit the atrocities of October 7th even more so.
Right. And, you know, that's exactly why we have NewsNation's Robert Sherman and a team there on the ground to continue to bring us coverage. And one of the things that we've been hearing about is the desperate need for aid. And we're talking about this pier that was built by the U.S. military, bringing in supply aid to Gaza. And the stories that are being told, I was just listening to a report today about medical teams in that area trying to choose who they're going to try and help because they don't have enough supplies. So they're looking at these victims in their hospitals or in their makeshift tents, trying to figure out what they can do because they just don't have enough. So when we talk about that bridge and the supplies, you know, what are you hearing? What are your feelings right now on that?
Okay, first of all, the supplies going into Gaza are numerous. And the fact that Hamas steals those supplies is the problem. It's just the same problem that Hamas uses its own people as human shields while targeting Israeli civilians. But, you know, if we're going to talk about a humanitarian crisis, what about the hostages? Do you realize that the Red Cross weeks ago, or even a couple of months ago, finally agreed to transfer medication, sorely needed medication, to hostages? No, nothing was delivered. The Red Cross has refused to even pressure Hamas into being able to see where those hostages are or tell us who they are, who's alive, who's dead. And so I think that what we've done is lost the plot here about who really needs rescuing.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your screen. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.